I've forgotten the first one. No. Yeah, we are seeing things change, you know, very much so in terms of our work order alone. You know, it's all about mixed-use developments. The clients are coming to us to look at the retail model and look at it in a very different way, and you do. You do. Once you've got other buildings sort of in the vicinity of each other and talking to each other, you have to make sure that the language that is communicated or the final message works for all but is universal. And it's very challenging. And infrastructure, good infrastructure and working infrastructure is fundamental to mixed-use developments. And as Mr. Rowe will tell us, you know, it's essential. As that new infrastructure develops, that we create high-density nodes along this investment. You know, I think people now want to live, work, and play. We've all heard that adage. You know, they were doing it, I think, in Europe 10, 15 years ago. I think there's a whole complex set of challenges and values that India has. I mean, I've been here 1.5 years, but the longer I live here, the more complicated it gets. You know, I think it's very, very difficult to streamline and data source India because, you know, this incredible country varies so much from north, south, west, east. But with malls themselves, you know, it's very interesting. The death of suburbia, for example, in the West in the 60s when they first started in America and Australia was lack of infrastructure. The promise then was people moving out of a city, out of cramped conditions. They were still dirty and polluted back then. So the promise of fresh air and free space was a dream promised. But with poor infrastructure, it's meaningless. And it killed suburbia. It killed communities. And now finally we're seeing, over the last 5 years, more people are wanting to come into a city and now live in a city than in any time in history. So I think with India, given its population, it's a phenomenal opportunity for all of us, particularly me as a master planner and a designer, to develop, you know, creative solutions of mixed-use developments that tackle the complex issues involved. And as a designer, the more complex it is, the bigger the buzz, you know. And as we begin to see more of these things develop, we'll start learning more about these centers and what they mean. But certainly, it is now about a high street, an organized high street, you know. But very different. Security is an issue in the West, in Europe, you know. Your front door, which you open with a key, is on the high street. You can't do that in India. But you still want the feeling of a mixed-use, integrated development that offers you this freedom, you know, and choice, which is ultimately what the consumer wants and what the developer wants, because he's spreading his risk with these different asset classes. Anyway, I've gone on, but I think it's a wonderful opportunity, and this is why I'm in India.